Chapter 7, Mishnah 2. In the previous Mishnah, we learned that Negaim that were tahor when they originally appeared remain tahor even if circumstances change, and there is now a reason for them to become tameh. The Mishnah discusses whether this rule holds true even if the appearance of the nega changed after the circumstances changed. If after the circumstances changed and the reason for the Negaim to be tahor no longer applies, the appearance of the Negaim changed to that of Negaim that are either more lenient or more strict, the law is the subject of dispute. Before presenting the opinions, the Mishnah explains how the change can be lenient or strict based on the levels of brightness of a nega, as described in the first Mishnah of this tractate. There are two primary types of standard skin saras, each one having a corresponding secondary nega known as sapachas or mishpachas. When the Torah associates with the primary nega, The first primary nega, the brightest of the four, is the baheres. It is the color of snow. Its secondary nega is as white as the plaster of the heichal, the sanctuary of the Beis Hamikdash. The second primary nega is the seis, the second brightest of the four shades of white, which is as white as wool. Its secondary nega is the color of the membrane of an egg. Thus, there are two sets of negaim, with each set having two levels, for a total of 4 levels of brightness. See Chapter 1, Mishnah 1 with Rav. Our Mishnah discusses cases where a nega that is one shade of white changes to the shade of white of a primary or secondary nega of its own set. How would the appearance of a nega become more lenient if it was the color of snow, i.e. baheres, the brightest of the 4 shades of white, and after the circumstances changed, e.g. the non-Jew converted, it became the color of the plaster of the heichal, a duller shade of white, which is the secondary shade of baheres, or if it was the color of white wool, i.e. a seis, and became the color of the membrane of an egg, a duller shade of white, which is the secondary shade of seis, it has changed to become more lenient. In other words, if the seis became the secondary shade of seis, or the baheres became the secondary shade of baheres, it has changed to become more lenient. And how would the appearance of a nega become more strict? If it was the color of the membrane of an egg, and it became the color of white wool, a brighter shade of white, or if it was the color of the plaster of the heichal, and became the color of snow, a brighter shade of white, it has changed to become stricter. The Mishnah presents 3 opinions. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah rules the nega tahor, whether the shade of the nega changed to a duller or brighter shade of white. The nega is considered a continuation of the previous nega, and continues to be tahor. Rabbi Elazar Chisma says, if the nega changed to a more lenient, i.e. duller shade of white, it is tahor, because it is considered a continuation of the previous nega. However, if it changed to a stricter, i.e. brighter shade of white, it must be examined anew, because it is considered a new nega. Rabbi Akiva says whether the shade of the nega changed to that of a nega that is more lenient, or it changed to that of a nega that is stricter, it must be examined anew, because any change in color is considered a new nega.